video explores the real-world leadership challenge faced by Jack White, the new GM of Strickland Corporation. Jack is under pressure to introduce urgent changes in response to growing competition, but he is also aware of the risk of internal resistance. This case highlights a common dilemma in organizational change. Should a leader act quickly and enforce change, or slow down to build trust and support? By applying well-known change model from scholars like Lewin and Cotter, we examine the balance between speed and strategy, control and collaboration. We also explore how communication, trust, and emotional intelligence can shape the success of any transformation.
Hi, I am ATIQAH SHUIB. Let us start with background information. Organizational change is something every company must face if they want to survive and grow in today's fast-moving world. It often involves shifting how things are done, whether it is the structure, processes, or even the company culture, to stay competitive and relevant. In this case study, we look at Jack White, the new general manager of Strickland Corporation's pet food division. Jack has identified the urgent need for change due to rising competitive pressure. However, he also knows that pushing change too fast can lead to resistance. Should he move quickly and risk backlash, or take time to build support and possibly delay action? Honestly, people feel uncertainty, worry about losing control, or simply do not trust the process. In Jack's case, the worry is that even those with influence inside the company might not openly resist, but they could quietly slow things down or offer only minimal support. Jack's concerns also connect with Cotter's change model, which stresses the need to first build urgency and gain the support of a strong internal team before launching big changes. Skipping these early steps can backfire, especially when trust is not yet built. Even after change begins, it must be reinforced consistently. Success is not just about starting change. It is about making sure it lasts through continuous support, recognition, and cultural alignment. In fact, experts like SHUIB and Wendy stress that real transformation happens when people feel heard, valued, and involved. Jack's leadership will need to create that kind of environment if you want the change to succeed and stick. In summary, Jack's success depends on how well he understands the human side of change, from communication and culture to trust and timing. This presentation will offer practical recommendations to help him make the best decision moving forward. Our goal is to better understand the leadership challenge faced by Jack White as he leads change in Strickland Corporation's pet food division. We have outlined 5 key objectives to guide our analysis and recommendations. First, we aim to identify the best leadership style Jack can use to manage resistance effectively. Second, we examine the psychological and organizational factors that might cause employees to resist change. Third, we explore how strong communication strategies can help build trust and engage staff during the process. Next, we provide practical recommendations that balance the urgency of the situation with the need for inclusion and support. Finally, we assess how Jack's action could affect the company's culture and employee morale in the long run. These objectives will help us shape a thoughtful and evidence-based approach to solving Jack's dilemma. That's all from me. Let us hear from my next team member, Mrs. Faza.
Thank you, Ms. ATIQAH. Hello, I am FAZAHIA. We will explore what this case study is all about. Let us take a closer look at the case of Jack White and his leadership dilemma at Strickland Corporation. Jack has been appointed as a general manager of the company at food division. After completing a strategic review, Jack concluded that urgent and significant changes are needed across the multiple areas of the division. Even though Jack is new to his role, he knows the company well enough to predict one major obstacle: resistance to change. He anticipates that some employees, especially those who with influence, may not openly oppose the changes but could slow them down or resist quietly. Jack finds himself at a crossroad. On one hand, he feels pressure to act quickly. He considered enforcing the changes with authority and using consequences to push people into compliance. After all, he has the power to do so. But Jack also understands that fear-based compliance rarely inspires true commitment. On the other hand, Jack is also considering a more inclusive approach. He is thinking about slowing things down, taking time to consult with the key team, engage staff in discussion, and build genuine support, even though he knows that this method could take a longer time. Jack's internal conflict is real and relatable. Should he choose speed and authority or take a time to engage and listen? This is the heart of his dilemma. He knows that change is necessary, but he's unsure about the best way to lead it. This case challenges us to think carefully about the best leadership strategy for managing change. It raises a critical question about timing, communication, employee engagement, and the role of emotional intelligence in effective leadership. Now, we continue with the recommendation from my team, Ms. RUSNIE. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Fazahia. Without further ado, I, RUSNIE SHAHEILA, will drive you into the strategic recommendation that Jack White should consider to effectively lead change at Strict Land Corporation. First, Jack must avoid rushing into change with a purely top-down approach while his concerns about competitive pressure is valid. Acting too quickly without consulting staff could create fear and spark silent resistance. Jack needs to show that he values employee input, especially in a time of uncertainty as recommended by Burns. Kotter's 8 steps can guide Jack through this process. The first step, creating a sense of urgency, forming a guiding coalition, and crafting a clear vision are especially crucial in Jack's case. These steps ensure that the change is not only necessary, but believable and achievable to employees. Jack should focus on gaining support from internal stakeholders, particularly the middle managers. These individuals act as a bridge between the leadership and frontline staff. Additionally, Jack can organize listening sessions, focus groups, or workshops to gather feedback and to co-create solutions. It is also important for Jack to adapt his leadership style. Jack should use a contingency leadership model, choosing his style based on the readiness of the team. When fear of uncertainty is high, a transformational leadership style is the best. This includes a clear vision and inspiring others to see the benefit of change. As Phillips and Klein explained, emotional intelligence and inclusive leadership are powerful tools in overcoming resistance. Communication should be at the heart of Jack's strategy. He must go beyond formal memos and announcements. Employees need consistent, transparent, and two-way communication. L. Schultz, Knapp, and others emphasize feedback and dialogue help employees feel included rather than sidelined. Besides that, Jack should see resistance not as an obstacle, but as useful feedback. Resistance can reveal gaps in understanding or fears that need to be addressed. Darmawan and Azizah argue that understanding the root cause of resistance, such as fear of job loss or identity disruptions, allow leaders to take the right actions like training programs or mentoring support. Another helpful tactic is celebrating small wins. These early successes boost morale and create momentum. When employees see real results and feel recognized, they are more likely to support the next steps. Buchanan and others stress the value of celebrating progress in keeping people motivated and aligned with the vision. Jack also need to think long-term. Sustaining change means embedding it into daily routines and systems. That includes aligning performance goals, rewards, and training programs with the new direction. According to voltage control, change that is not built into the organization's structure tends to fade over time. Lastly, while Jack may feel the pressure to act fast, thoughtful leadership will pay off more than speed. Spring reminds us that sustainable change comes from the deep engagement and not forced compliance. Even if it takes a few extra weeks to gain buy-in, the results will be stronger and longer lasting. In short, Jack should lead with empathy, clarity, and vision. He should involve people, listen to concerns, communicate effectively, and use resistance as a guide and not a threat. By doing so, he can create lasting change that strengthens both performance and team unity. I believe this is my end point. Please welcome next team member, Miss Masturina. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. RUSNIE. Hi, I'm MASTURINA. Today I want to share about key factors that will influence Jack White's change management strategy at Strickland Corporation. The first major factor is the urgency of market pressure. Jack's strategic review has revealed that competitors are making bold moves and waiting too long could leave the company behind. However, as Palmer suggests, speed alone is not enough, thus urgency must be balanced with proper communication, preparation and team alignment. Second, employee resistance is a critical concern. Change often brings fear of losing control, fear of job loss, or simply not understanding what is coming. Research by Burns and Olmsted shows that this resistance may not always be loud or obvious. Sometimes it is quiet, like minimal effort or slow responses, but just as damaging. So Jack must recognize this situation early. Third, Jack must assess the organizational culture and readiness for change. If the company has a traditional or risk-averse culture, employees may react negatively to abrupt shift. Carnell and SHUIB both highlight that knowing the company's cultural DNA, how people think, act, and communicate, allow leaders to design change strategies that feel more natural and respectful to the team. Next, Jack's own leadership and credibility will play a big role. Even though he is new in this position, he already knows the company, which is a big advantage. To truly lead, Jack needs to earn trust. He can do this by being honest, involving others in decision, and showing he listens. Referring to Phillips and Klein, leaders who inspire and empower others often see better results during change. Another factor is the availability of resources. Change cannot happen without the right tools, including budget, time, training, and systems. Kota warns that when employees are not properly supported, even the best strategy can fall apart. Jack must ensure people have what they need to succeed. Timing is also a key. A step-by-step approach gives employees time to adjust, learn, and gain confidence. This method also makes it easier to correct problems early. As Buchanan and SHUIB point out, celebrating small wins along the way boosts morale and remind the team that they are making a real progress. Communication is another pillar of success. It must be more than just announcement from the top. Employees need two-way communication that is clear, honest, and regular. Wendy outlined 6 helpful practices like tailoring messages to specific groups and involving staff in the communication process itself to help change feel more personal and manageable. Lastly, Jack needs to think about long-term sustainability. It is not enough to start strong, the new changes must last. This means aligning daily habits, performance review, and policy within the new direction. If change is not reinforced, it will fade over time. To sum up, Jack's path to successful change requires a careful mix of urgency and empathy, planning and participation. By considering all these internal and external factors, he can lead Strickland Corporation through change that is both meaningful and sustainable. Here is where we part. Let us continue with my last team member, Mr. IZRUL. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masturina. Hi, I am MUHAMAD ZAHIN, your last presenter. As we come to the final part of our presentation, let us take a moment to reflect on the key insight we have uncovered throughout Jack's case. Ultimately, Jack's dilemma is not just about making changes. It is about how those changes are led and received. Acting with urgency is important, but forcing change through pressure can backfire. Real success comes when leaders engage people, build trust, and bring others along in the journey. Jack needs to lead with empathy, not just authority. When employees are involved early, when their concerns are heard, and when the communication is clear and open, resistance becomes a form of feedback, not a barrier. As the research shows, this kind of inclusive leadership builds a stronger commitment and more lasting result. Jack must also celebrate progress and reward those who support the change. By recognizing short-term wins and embedding change into daily systems, he can keep momentum alive. And most importantly, by leading with transparency and emotional intelligence, Jack can create a culture where change feels empowering, not threatening. To end, it is not just about what changes Jack makes, but how he makes them. This case has taught us the power of communication, leadership, and empathy in managing change effectively. On behalf of my group, we sincerely thank our lecturer, Sir Muhammad Faiz, for his support and guidance. And to our classmates, thank you for being part of this learning journey with us. Take care. Bye-bye.